It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. Now, you can find me at Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting if you email me at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. If you like the show, be sure and check out our Patreon, Opperman Report Patreon. Everything you hear Monday to Friday on AM/FM radio, you can find over at Opperman Report Patreon with all the ads and the commercials cut out. If you miss a show, it's there. And it has the best search engine to find the old shows. We're shadow banned all over the place, so it's the best to find the old shows over there at Patreon. Do a live show every Friday night, Spreaker.com. Okay, that's where I do it live. There's a chat room, and you get an email notification whenever I put up new content. I have for you today, I just found out this is breaking news. Ivy Silberstein. You probably know her better as Ivy Supersonic. She's the designer who designed that hat you see on Pam Anderson, that iconic hat, the pink furry hat. She made one for Snoop Dogg. She made one for Tommy Lee. All those people back in those days with this famous hat as a designer. But also, she's had a lawsuit going on with Disney for 25 years, starting tomorrow. I think tomorrow's the anniversary, over Ice Age, the cartoon. And she created one of the characters in the thing, Scrat. Okay, she created and they stole it from her, and she's won her lawsuit with Disney. I think we're the first people to have her on to celebrate her victory. Ivy Supersonic, are you there?
I am. Hi, Ed. It's so nice to be on your show. I'm so excited to talk about this.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. For people who have no idea, who is Ivy Supersonic?
So I am a designer. I had a clothing line called Ivy. I launched it when I was about 23 years old. I was on the cover of Women's Wear Daily. I had a jean company. I had Levi's. I loved Levi's, and these were recycled denim jeans. And I was sewing all kinds of cool stuff on them. And then all of a sudden they were on the cover of Women's Wear. And, my whole thing took off. And what was very interesting was that I was only doing it for 3 months. And once I hit the cover of Women's Wear, everybody had me in their office. I was showing them the jeans, and I completely changed the marketplace. So it just shows, when you have an idea, which is a good idea, if you're not really funded correctly, all the big boys are going to come in and they're going to steal everything from you. They have manufacturing, they have money, they have the contacts. And so I started like that. And, I learned the hard way. I had no business training. I knew nothing about any of it. I did graduate FIT, but I just jumped in, like feet first, and I've been swimming with the sharks ever since. And so I went from the jeans to the feathered hat and the cartoon character, the Scrat. So we could start there in 1999, which is a quarter of a century ago, this week. We could start right there.
Yeah, people got to check out your Instagram. Ivy Silberstein on Instagram. The pictures, this woman, by the way, you say 23, you started at 23, you still look 23, you're a gorgeous, beautiful woman, okay? But what do you call it? The pictures on here, you could sit on this thing for hours and hours and hours. I still have not scrolled all the way down to the bottom with your parties and celebrities. A lot of nudity. A lot of your art back in the old days was nudity, wasn't it?
It sure was. So just so you know, because you can't even get to the bottom, there's like 10,000 photos of like Jason and Snoop Dogg, Carbon Electra, Tommy Lee, Pamela Anderson. I mean, the list keeps on going. So I started a few other Instagrams because I just felt like after 10,000 photos, I started like Ivy.Supersonic, and then I did like an Ivy, I think it's Ivy Supersonic Scratch. So I've made a few of them just so I could keep on posting, really. The photographs are they're just endless, truthfully. So, yeah.
Hey, you ever think about putting out a book?
I put the book, I wanted to do a pocket table book. So I worked on that last year, and it's pretty ready. I just really need a publisher and an agent. Otherwise we're ready to go. And it's very hard to find a good publisher, and it's hard to find a good agent. Just if there's anybody out there, please contact me.
Yeah, but you're such an incredible self-promoter. Do you really need an agent?
Well, I'm going to tell you a little story.
Yeah.
So when I sued 20th Century Fox, that was February 13th, 2002, before Ice Age, the first Ice Age came out, I had to sue HarperCollins. So because they were putting out the Ice Age and the scrapbook. So now I'm kind of I guess I'm blacklisted from HarperCollins.
Gotcha.
But because it's a Rupert Murdoch company. So what happens is that, people move around, they hold grudges, you know what I mean? So, I'm not exactly sure. I hired one lawyer. It was an amazing thing. So I was dating Tom Wilson. His father created the cartoon Ziggy. And his agent was Arlene Scanlon. And she represented the kid who did the Taco Bell Chihuahua. So she hooked me up with her lawyer. They won $40 million. She hooked me up with Doug Bozeman. I was ecstatic to hire this guy. I said it's a $10,000 retainer, which is pretty hefty. And his firm, Warner Norcos and Judd, they were going to argue I had an argument at the Court of Appeals for the Scrat, and this was in 2005, right? So all of a sudden we're getting to court. I gave them all my documents, all my papers. This was after I lost the first lawsuit at the Southern District, New York. So I get this letter how they can't represent me anymore. They can't we're in the court. We're at court. They've been taken off the case because they've represented HarperCollins, and I'm suing HarperCollins, so there's a conflict of interest.
Right.
So when I hired them, I knew they represented HarperCollins. I said, well, how about I drop my suit against them? I'm not suing them anymore because I want you. The lawsuit against HarperCollins, that's off the table. So they said, fine. Okay, but they did not make me sign any type of document that said I dropped HarperCollins, which I found odd, but I didn't. I just went with it. So when they were fired by the other team's attorney, and I went out. I got 17 tattoos that month. It was November 2005. I got justice across the front of my chest, truth on my back, free. Scrat. I did 17 tattoos in 1 month. I definitely liked guys with tattoos, but I really didn't believe in women having tattoos. But I put this campaign on my body, and then I decided, Steve Azera shot the campaign for me. He owned Tattoo Magazine. I think it's 24/7 Ink. And I blew up, I made a banner, a 100-foot banner. I hired an airplane, and I had the airplane tow the 100-foot banner of me. Well, I was pretty much naked. I was just rocking these G-strings that said, what does it say on there? It said something on there. Oh, jackpot. And I had my hands across my breast, and it said scrat.com and Fox Stool, I just scrat. And I put this airplane and the banner on top of 20th Century Fox Studios, December 19th, I believe, 2005, for 8 hours. So the press started to go crazy over it, and I had some airplanes just fly around Hollywood. The Vendee Universal came out with the Scrat game. I stuck an airplane on top of them. So, I really, it was just really tough on me, like a big corporation stealing from me.
Well, how did the whole Scrat thing come about? You designed, it was like a squirrel, right?
Well, so I was walking in Madison Square Park in Manhattan, and all of a sudden, something ran in front of me, which looked like it was part squirrel and part rat. It had the rat face, it had the squirrel tail,
Gotcha.
And I looked at it, and I said, oh, my God, that's not squirrel, that's a Scrat. And I watched it run up the tree, and I literally had a vision. And I'm a psychic. You could look at, I have a movie called Ivy's Paranormal. You can watch it. It's a short documentary at ivysparanormal.com. And I had this vision. I'm going to say, God gave me the scratch. That's where the things come from, God. So I channeled it, and I was like, this is worth $100 million. So I got frozen. Like when I saw the scratch on the ground, and then run up the tree, and then I was like stuck staring, in the sky for like 10 minutes, and I was like, this is insane. So I was like, I discovered a new hybrid rodent, but at the time, I didn't realize like how much of a psychic or how big my visions were. So, but I knew it was worth $100 million. I called my boyfriend, or the guy I was dating, at Fox. He worked for Fox Family and Saban, for Chaim Saban, who created the Power Rangers, partners of Rupert Murdoch. So I told him. He thought I was crazy. So I went home, and it's now May 18th, 1999, right? So I called up. I was dating this guy named Digger. He was an artist. He owned an art asylum in Brooklyn on Gold. And he worked for Gene Simmons and for George Lucas.
You know what, Ivy? You're kind of breaking up. I'm going to hang up and call you right back and see if we get a better connection, okay?
Okay, bye. Okay. Hey.
Okay. That's so much better.
That's better?
Yeah.
So Digger designed toys. He made the big Gene Simmons dolls. He worked with George Lucas on the toys. So I called up over there, and it's round about midnight. So this is May 18th, 1999. Now it's midnight, and Digger is, Caesar answers the phone. He works for Digger. He said Digger's busy. He can't come to his phone. So I said, Caesar, I need you to draw me a scrat, part squirrel and part rat. So he drew me a scrat, faxed it over, and then I faxed it to my friend, totally cool, Richard Brenda, and he's like, no, it needs to be a little more. That looks like a squirrel. So I said, Caesar, redo it. So he redid it, and he faxed it back. So now it's I'm going to say, I think it's 12:09 a.m. on May 19th, 1999, and that is how the first scrat was drawn. So my friend Richard was like, everybody steals everything from you. You can't tell anybody until you protect it. You got to trademark this. Don't tell anybody about this. So I didn't tell anybody. I had a friend who was an attorney, Jeff Gandel. He said my cousin, Oren Warshitsky, it's really weird because that name, Warshitsky, I can't really pronounce Warsh, whatever it is. That's the same name as the guy who stole Tommy Lee and Pamela Anderson's sex tape.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So it has the same name. It's just the same name. So I go meet Oren, the lawyer. It's June 3rd, 1999. So the only people who really know is kind of like my inner circle. I tell my friend Jesse Isler. He had a company called Alphabet City Records. He wrote the song for the Knicks, Go New York Go. And he wrote the song for the Bulls, and he wrote all the sports teams. And right now he's married to the billionaire Sarah Blakely from Spanx and owns the Atlanta Hawks. So Jesse said, I said, this lawyer wants $1,000 for the trademark. So he gave me $500, and his friend Matt Candell was dating my friend, and they both chipped in $500, and we were going to, Oren was going to write us a contract, for a partnership for the three of us. So Oren I met him on June 3rd. On June 7th, he filed at the USPTO for scrat and in clothing for T-shirts. Okay? So that's where it all began. And then on that day, I issued a press release. And at that time, I wasn't really using email. So my friend Greg Juckett, he worked in the boxing business. He was a publicist with Cedric Kushner and worked with Lou DiBella at HBO. And so I put Greg's email on there because I only had a fax. So I faxed out. I wrote up a press release. What is Mayor Giuliani, because he was the mayor then, doing about the infiltration of scrat? And I put out like a scare, I issued like a, kind of like a PSA, but it said, scrat with a trademark. So it's kind of like, you were like, what is the scrat with a trademark, and the picture that Caesar drew. So Matt was like, okay, I'm out of here. He bailed. I'm not doing this with the mayor Giuliani. I can't. And Jesse said, well, if Matt's out, I'm out. So it was just me and Orrin now. Orrin's my attorney. And so then I had this guy who lived in my bathtub. He was a graffiti artist, and I let him, like, live at my house. So Matt, Bathtub Matt, I call him. He was living in the bathtub. You know, we're artists, so he looked like he needed some place to live. So I gave him the bathtub, and he saw the scrat, and he was like, I'm an artist. This sucks. You know, I'm doing it. I'm drawing it. I'm getting you a good scrat, you know, cartoon. This sucks. What is it? So all of a sudden, so now we're into June. I put out this press release, right? And then David Moy, he now works at the Huffington Post. He was at the Wireless News Flash. He picked it up. And on June 9th, he said I should watch Leno and Letterman, that they're going to talk about my scrap. So I was always very busy running around with my feathered hats and these rock stars, so I really didn't have much time for television. I didn't watch. And on the 10th, on June 10th, so we're only into it, you know, like 2 or 3 weeks right now, the guy I was dating at Fox, at Fox Family, who worked for, you know, the Power Rangers, gave me his badge. They had a booth at the Jacob Javits Center for the International Licensing Show. And I worked out of their booth with my press release, handing it to everybody at Fox and everybody that was walking by. And I met everybody there, guys from Jim Henson. Anyway, so I pitched everybody at Fox. Now, this is January 10th. Now, January 11th, so back to the hat. So I had teams of women that were naked and teams of body painters. We were body painting my feathered hat women, and the year before, I did the dysfunctional family picnic at Jones Beach with Scott Weiland and Stone Temple Pilots. So we body painted everybody, and everybody got on stage with Scott. And so I was invited back to get on stage again, and it was Howard Stern, Fred, Stuttering John. They were on stage. Rob Zombie, Kid Rock, Blink 182, Live. There's a whole bunch of bands, right? So everybody's backstage body painting a Hat Girl, and I hung up. I just got the scrap banner from Matt. So it's now June 11th, 1999, 25 years ago. So I'm backstage with body painted models. I'm standing there with Carmen Electra, and she was dating Fred Durst, you know, from Limp Bizkit, and you know, Tommy Lee was my good friend. I was designing his hats. I called up Tommy. He said, "I'm calling Fred. I'm getting you on the stage." So anyway, I got on stage with Fred Durst. We brought the banner, you know, me and the 25 models. We all carried the banner on the stage with Fred Durst and Limp Bizkit. We closed the show for the K-Rock Dysfunctional Family Picnic in front of 25,000 people, you know, and we had the scrap banner going and the Ivy Supersonic banner and naked girls body painted wearing my feathered hats, and that's how I launched Scrap. So that press release, that was June 11th. Now, that press release got picked up by the Las Vegas Review, and they put me on, like, the front page, you know, how with the scrap, like, the whole article next to Martha Stewart, and it was June 14th. It was my 32nd birthday when the first article came out. The Los Angeles Times picked it up. They talked about the scrat on June 16th, the Florida newspaper, Pennsylvania. So the scrat is pretty famous right now. I mean, it's only the beginning. And then we had my birthday party, me and the lawyer Jeff Gandel and Mike Anderson from Fox, who brought me in to, you know, the Javits Center to the Fox booth. And there was, like, I had a birthday party with Curtis Blow, who's like the granddaddy of hip hop,
Sure.
and Scrap, and all these people. So 700 people came to the barge. My Scrap banner was up. Lou DiBella, who was the vice president of HBO Boxing After Dark, came. He saw the Scrap, and so Lou wanted to be my partner, and I had him, you know, work with my dad, who was an attorney, and more of a business person than I am, you know, to put the deal together so Lou could bring Scrat to Sheila and Evans at HBO. So that's the story of the beginning. That's just the beginning. It was a little while I took, but that's just the beginning. So now Fox. So my girlfriend, it doesn't end because every day I was like on a mission, you know, with rock stars, going somewhere, doing something, and the hats and Scrat were like they went hand in hand. So, you know, if you were going to wear the hat, then you were going to wear the Scrat shirt. You were going to know about Scrat. You were going to be involved. So August 28th, 1999, Tommy Lee was filming his video for Get Naked. And it was his solo band. He dropped out of Motley Crue, and he had his own band with this guy named Tilo. And Pam Anderson was in the shoot, Little Kim, George Clinton. So, you know, they're wearing my hats in the video with Fred Durst, and there was a runway. And Tommy put on, I had this 5-foot hat. And then Pam looked at me and she said, I have to host MTV Awards next week. Could you make me a pink feather cowboy hat? So I said, sure. So the next day, it was August 29th, so Tommy puts a scratch sticker up Pam Anderson's dressing room. They're driving me home, so I'm in the back seat with my photographer, Andrew, and my assistant, Dennis, and they're in the front, and their son, Brandon Thomas Lee. He's 3 years old. So they were telling Brandon how great Scrat is, and that their friend Ivy created Squirrel Rat the Scrat, and I gave them a shirt. Now, the shirts are regular size for regular people, but, you know, I had a small, and I gave it to them, and so Pam was now putting the shirt, dressing her son Brandon, who's like a Gucci model now, and a producer of her movie, in my Scrat shirt, which is August 28th, 1999. So when I went to litigation, Tommy had to write a declaration and explain that, you know, they had the Scrat shirt dressing their son Brandon. And what was crazy was that Tommy, you know, I just totally loved Tommy. I wanted him to be the voice of my cartoon. And he, you know, wanted to be. He was so excited. I don't know if you know how much people make with voiceovers, but they make tremendous amounts. Like John Leguizamo, you know, just did an article this month. He said he bought 3 houses, you know, from doing the voice, you know, in the Ice Age cartoon. So, you know, they stole this cartoon for me and Tommy. He was attached to my script. So the T-shirts were purchased by, I was dating Michael Anderson at Fox Family, and he purchased 2 T-shirts, right? But when it went to court, the judge said that 2 T-shirts doesn't count. You can't get a trademark for 2 T-shirts. But I was like, this is the people who stole my scratch. But that didn't count. So Steve Madden, the designer, sponsored my T-shirts. He printed them. We had a gross of T-shirts. So, I don't know, one of my lawyers said that I could have got the trademark with this because, I don't know, I could have, but maybe it wasn't presented correctly. But anyway, so Steve paid for my shirt.
Let me ask you this. First of all, put your phone back on speaker because I'm getting that feedback again, okay?
Okay. All right.
But how did you find out, though, that they stole your Scrat? You just walked into the movie and you saw it and you said, oh, my God, this is my thing?
So what happened was in December 2000, I went to L.A. I was working on my record album because I'm a lyricist, so I wrote this whole album. And I went to L.A. I wanted to get in the studio. I wanted to get Tommy Lee to help me with my song, Supersonic Energy. So I went to the studio in Tommy's house. And I was staying with my friend Nick Loeb, who his uncle was Edgar Bronfman, who owned Universal. And then I saw this girl, Antoinette, who was the model in my fashion show at the Barfly, which was Halloween 1998. So Antoinette, and she was there with the printer, Jim Agate, Fox's printer. So this is 1998, October 1998. Antoinette was dating Shuki Levy, the creator of the Power Rangers, owner of Fox Family, and Saban with Chaim Saban, partners of Rupert Murdoch. So Antoinette was dating him. So I went to stay at Antoinette's house December 2000, and I wound up staying with her for 3 months, and she was pitching the Scrat with me, and I said, you're going to be my agent. You will get the percentage, for pitching, if you could get this deal. So I stayed with her. I gave her my Scrat script. She took me over to Shuki Levy's house January 2001. I mean, just so you know, Shuki Levy and Chaim Saban sold the Power Rangers, Fox Family, and Saban for $5 billion July 2001. So she took me to his house with her friend Iris, and we met with Shuki. I sat with his attorney, and this is Ronnie Hadar, his producer, and another producer. So we had a big meeting. There was a lot of us in his house pitching the Scrat. We showed him, I coined the Scrat on CNN, a story called Move Over Mickey, Here Comes Scrat. I was on with Jeannie Most. It was February 28th, 2000. Okay? I was on 7 days in a row, February 28th and 29th. Okay? And the first 5 days in March, I was on CNN, and it's syndicated to every news channel 145 times. I coined the Scrat in front of the whole entire world on CNN. It was picked up by Continental Airlines, international and domestic, and played, on all the airlines. And then it was picked up in 47 national airports and played in the airport. It's still, if you Google it today, you can still find. So that's 24 years. I've been on CNN's website with a link to my Scrat, and the story. They had all different stories. One is Move Over Mickey, Here Comes Scrat. That was the name of the video. And then it was Scrat Invade Central Park. You'll find that on the internet. Something about the jackalope. Scrat gives jackalopes a run for their money. That's another story. It's still there. And then Scrat Invades Central Park. Scrat Invades New York. Okay, so all these stories. So it's out there. It's literally everywhere, the Scrat. So I was also in License magazine, October 1999. It said my Scrat is for License with Elvis Presley, Milton Berle, who else? Barbie. I mean, it was crazy. I had a feature story.
Wait, you have a picture with Elvis Presley when you're like a teenager, right?
No. I'm not that old. I went to I went to Graceland in 2000. Yeah, 2018, and I took a picture with a cardboard cutout.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, it was unbelievable. It was this cardboard cutout, and I made my pocketbook, so it looks like I'm really with it. So that's crazy. But so I was on Howard Stern. I mean, December for Christmas, 2000 with Sal. It was called The Lighting of the Teeth. And since 2000, for like 24 years at Christmas, this has played. It's called The Lighting of the Teeth. I had my girls in the hats, and I had a Scrat model, Jenna Jones, and she is telling Howard about the Scrat. You could see her with the shirt. So this had so much publicity, and in February 2000, I was sleeping at Michael Madnick's house. Michael Anderson, my boyfriend, I was sleeping at Michael Madnick's house. That was his boss, who worked for Ellie Deckel. And I stayed at his house for 7 days. I came there with an entire suitcase of scripts. He drove me to my meeting with Paramount Pictures, with Mark Mosman, and he knew my whereabouts. I was over with Malcolm Jamal Warner at the Fox lot, giving him the script. Then I was at the hotel with Enrique Iglesias. He was wearing my hat for his video Be With You. So he knew where I was. I was at the studio with Tommy Lee and Steve Perkins playing their drums, giving Tommy the script. So on the day that I was at Michael Madnick's house, I was on CNN, gave him the script, and I was with Tommy Lee, and he was the voice of the Scrat. So all of this was February 28th, 2000. So Antoinette Gabriel Hinckley, worked with all the guys at 20th Century Fox. She was the private masseuse, quote unquote, and she worked for Tony Sella. She was his private masseuse, quote unquote, and she gave it to him on the massage table. So
let me ask you this, Ivy. Then, how would you warn people about passing this stuff around? Like, shouldn't you have a sign an NDA before you give them this kind of stuff?
Well, I know about NDAs and I believe in NDAs, but I don't think it makes a difference because they're going to
steal it anyway.
They're going to steal it anyway. They're going to say, "Oh, we had it, so you signed, for this year." Well, we actually created it 10 years before. So the real deal is that, it's kind of like a premeditated theft. So they already look at you like you're prey. You're coming into the meeting. They're going to take notes. They're going to figure out how to steal your stuff. Are you protected or not? So, I had 3 lawyers for my scrat. I had this Oren Warshevsky from the Colbert and Gittes law firm, right? I had my father, who owned Silverstein, Awad, and Nicholas, and he was putting the deals together. He was working on a deal with Michael Madnick and Fox. So it was April 17th, and I have the correspondence, Michael Madnick, and actually his email was LV for Las Vegas. So Michael Madnick, and I gave him the script. He gave it to Ellie Deckel, and when Antoinette told me that, she said, Tony Sella has now put my scrat in the Ice Age movie trailer. I need to get a lawyer now and sue. And so when she told me that, it was November 10th, 2001, okay? So I wrote to Michael Madnick, who did Ellie Deckel give my script to? So he is like the best person in the whole world in licensing. So Michael Madnick writes back, he wouldn't have given it to anyone, but I'm going to check. So Michael Madnick gave it to Ellie Deckel. So he says Ellie wouldn't have given it to anybody, so he's going to check. And that was on November 12th, okay? So on November, that week, they changed the Ice Age movie script. They had a copywritten script. They copywrote it at the U.S. Copyright Office. It's July 11th, 2001. That's the same exact time that Shuki and everybody sold the Saban company to Disney, ABC. They needed cartoons. They just sold the Power Rangers. Fox lost the Power Rangers. They needed something. So now that week, they changed the script. In their script, they wrote Scrat, Squrat, right? And it was a squirrel rat, okay, prehistoric critter. The word critter comes from the National Enquirer, did an article on my scrat, a big article, on March 11th, 2001. And I was at Antoinette's house when this article came out, okay? So, everything, I put on my website, I really thought that I was protected because I had this lawyer and I had a trademark, which it wasn't a federal registered trademark, but it was an intent to use, and the process was moving along. And what happened was, when Antoinette told me that it was stolen, there was an attorney that was my next-door neighbor who actually worked at a law firm that represented Rupert Murdoch and Fox. So he told me never say his name. He came into my apartment. I mean, he's not allowed to help me, but he helped me. And he said to me, you need to understand that your lawyer dropped your trademark. And you right now have a lawsuit against your lawyer because this is malpractice. You got. I called my dad. He said, you got to go in there and you got to get your lawyer to get this trademark back for you. So he's going to make you sign something that you're not going to sue him, but you're signing it under duress. You have no choice. This guy has got to fix his mistake. So I get to the guy's office, and not only did he abandon my scratch trademark, this is a crazy one. I gave him $700. I was trademarking something else. I know it sounds crazy, the Come Clean facial wipes. So
I love it.
So get that.
I love you, Ivy.
I was working with Sal, the stockbroker from the Howard Stern show. I don't think he was even on Howard. He was then the Sal, the stockbroker, and so I was managing his band. He had a band called Facial, which is like giving a girl a facial, and then it came to me, these Come Clean facial wipes. You just wipe your face with these wipes here. So I trademarked this name. I gave him the $700. I was writing a script in L.A. at Kinko's on their laptop, and you know what? Maybe I didn't press the button delete because I wasn't so computer savvy. Anyway, so someone in Los Angeles also came out with the Come Clean facial wipes. Now, how did I know? because I was working with Gene Simmons. I was launching his magazine called Gene Simmons' Tongue, and he brought in Adam, who owned Condomania. So I was telling Adam, Gene, I had these Ivy Supersonic condoms that I would give out to everybody that I would buy from Condomania and repackage, and I would write Ivy Supersonic, thank you for coming. So it was like a gift, and like a gift. I was young and crazy. So anyway, I mean, if you were Sith Dog, you got an Ivy Supersonic condom, I think you'd be into it. So then it was really crazy. So Adam looks at me. He goes to me, I have this. They've already come to me. I'm already selling it. It's called Come Clean Facial Wipes. They're out. So I looked it up and I was like, this is insane. This is totally impossible. Did this just happen to me again? So Gene Simmons even sent me to his lawyer because I needed an attorney. So now I was like, I don't know what to do with this. I mean, this other thing is stolen. So I just was like, forget about it. I don't even know what to do. So my lawyer did not file with the $700 that I gave him. And my father gave me $100 to give to him so he could copyright my scratch scripts. And he didn't do that either. Wow. So the guy had a baby, and he was busy, baby on his mind. Sure. And he wasn't really into me. I mean, I paid him 3 times. I paid him $1,000, I paid him the $700 and $100, and all 3 of them. So I had to and then all of a sudden he wound up at the same law firm as my attorney at Anderson Till. I had David Einhorn became my intellectual property attorney. He was Anderson Till. No, so many firms.
Well, the thing is, we're starting to run out of time, though. Ultimately, though, you did win with you fought Disney, right?
Yeah. So what happened was, I had to stay with it. Literally, they fought me. 20th Century Fox fought me on my Crat and my Scroon. They don't even have any Crat and Scroons, but I had all these different cartoons. They just kept fighting me and fighting me. So 20th Century Fox first applied for a SCRAT, SCRAT, a SCRAT trademark in the year of 2007. Okay, 2009. 2009, that was 7 years after the first Ice Age. It was April, and the Ice Age 2 came out in March. So it took them all those 7 years to apply for a trademark. So they applied for 26 trademarks, and then they failed on all 26. They got no trademarks. So, they're partnered with Disney. They were bought for $85 billion, and Disney owns 6,000 trademarks, but no SCRAT. How's that? So in 2003, there was an arbitration ruling because there was so many different, fights here. In a lawsuit, there's rounds basically and different courts, and it keeps on going and going and going, and it doesn't end really. So we wound up in arbitration, and then my dad represented me, and as we wound up with a SCRAT plus 99 cartoon characters. The arbitrator said 50-50, split the baby down the middle. And this was basically a joint copyright, basically Ivy Silverstein and 20th Century Fox or Fox. And then they were bought out by Disney. So I have this SCRAT Ivy Disney 50-50. So they lost the trademarks. I own 2 federal registered trademarks. I opened a store called SCRAT Ivy Supersonic in Walt Disney. I opened a store November 2020, and then I had the SCRAT store February 20th, 2021, and I started selling the Ivy Supersonic Walt Disney T-shirts, and they fired all of Blue Sky Studios who stole my SCRAT, 450 animators, and someone blames it on the pandemic, but that's not true because animation was booming during the pandemic because the animators would work from home.
Right.
So it's just bullshit. Bull crap. Sorry. Yeah. And then they'll have this whole big tax problem. I don't know if you can look it up. Blue Sky Studios in Connecticut, the tax problem was astronomical.
Well, let me ask you this, Ivy. Did they ever have to pay you any money?
They have not paid me any money, but I believe they will.
Okay.
So what happened is that my SCRAT is a joint copyright with Walt Disney, and a copyright lasts 95 years. So this copyright started in 1999, and it ends in 70 years from now in the year of 2094. So we have the Scrat copyright together for another 70 years, and they have lost the first Mickey Mouse, which is called Steamboat Willie. And on January 1st, 2024 of this year, they've lost the Steamboat Willie copyright. He went into public domain. And on January 11th, my attorney, I have different attorneys, we have the recorded document for the Scrat and the 99 cartoon characters, and we filed my father's contract that he wrote for it. So that was just filed. So now I have Scrat and Mickey Mouse. Scrat is the first cartoon character that is a Disney-owned cartoon. He is banging Mickey Mouse.
And this is on a T-shirt that you're selling like to an exclusive clientele. It's going to be like a collector's item.
Yeah, it sure is. It sure is. God knows what this thing is going to be worth. So, yeah, I mean, today I've sold my 100th client. So it's person by person. I mean, some people order 1, some people order 10, whatever it is. But I've sold 100 people so far. So it's my private list. From throwing parties for, Gene Simmons and Crosby, Stills and Nash and Wyclef Jean. And so I have a whole list. I've been throwing these events, for like 25 years. And
if someone listening to the Opera Report, if they want to buy this shirt, how would they get it from you right now? My exclusive audience.
Email me. How about email me at Ivy's, that's IVYS, Ivy's Paranormal, PARANORMAL, Ivy's Paranormal @gmail.com. So, yeah, email me and, send your address and what size you are. And, they could pay me by Zelle or by PayPal or the Cash App or one of those apps,
Now, by the way, Ivy, when you said earlier that you saw this squirrel rat in the park and you said you had a psychic vision, that's no joke. You actually sell psychic art.
I do. I sell psychic art. And you can, if you don't know what psychic art is, you can watch my movie. It's 17 minutes. I won an award at the Cutting Room Film Festival for Best Short Documentary, and it's called Ivy's Paranormal, and it's all about the art and how it started. It all started because of this lawsuit, because I decided, I said, no lawyer is doing right by me. No lawyer can win this. I need God. I need higher powers, supernatural forces to come. I need a spirit army. And I was like, I'm just going to fight Fox with my mind. And that's how I'm going to do it. And all of a sudden, it may sound crazy, but my paintings started to paint by themselves. And I was like, oh boy. And then so I said, oh, wow, I'm not going to do this anymore. I don't know. This looks so crazy. Like things in the art, like, I don't know, Moses, Jesus, aliens, anything you could think of is in my art. So I said, I showed it to, Jules Filer, a publicist, and I said, I'm stopping. This is deep. I don't know what is going on. He said, do not stop. Keep going. So I said, okay. So I kept going, and I opened a studio, and just hundreds and hundreds of pieces of art within, my first month. And I opened what was called the Art of Mysticism, and wild stuff happened there. On my 50th birthday, I had a party, and my friend brought me 24 roses. We put it on my desk, and in the photo, you could see a manifestation of my father's head.
Wow.
So in like those psychic realms, when people pass over on special dates like your birthday, their birthday, death anniversaries, like those really, really important dates are dates that, the spirit and your loved ones, show themselves. And, if you're open to it and you're paying attention, you're not brushing these things off as something weird, strange, like it's really, they're still here. They want to communicate with you. So you just have to be open to the communication. It's like learning a new form of communication. And I'm teaching that in my movie, Ivy's Paranormal, at ivysparanormal.com.
Yeah, and if you go to the Instagram, too, Ivy Silberstein, and that's with a B, not a V, Silberstein, you can see some of I believe some of that art's like about 45% of the way down. If you scroll down on this giant page for a week, you'll see some of this art, too, as well. Real quick, though, because we, like I said, we're running out of time. In the Ivy Silberstein world, the Ivy Supersonic world, you actually babysat for Uma Aberdeen and Anthony Weiner.
I did. So yeah, they lived in my building, and I just want to say November 1999, when Hillary Clinton was married to the President of the United States, she came to announce her candidacy, in New York, and I designed a hat for her, and I gave her the hat, and she wrote me this awesome thank you note. And I felt badly that Jules said to me, he's like, Monica Lewinsky is launching her handbags at Bendel's. You got to go down there with the hat. So I went down there, and I gave Monica a hat, and I was almost jumped by 5 women that worked at Henry Bendel's, and they were like, we're looking for you. We need you to do a trunk show. We've been looking all over for you. So it really, worked that I went down there. But then, the Daily News, they would put Hillary Clinton next to Monica Lewinsky, and I don't know. I felt really badly. I mean, that this was kind of happening. So it was like pictures of Hillary, holding my hat box that says Ivy Supersonic and Monica Lewinsky in the hat. And that was happening, in March 2000. So then Anthony and Huma move into my building in Union Square at the Zeckendorf Towers. And, she works for Hillary. So I felt, I didn't even know what to say. Like, was she there that day? Did she know me? Did she know what happened? Anyway, so Anthony, I was talking to Anthony. He needed a babysitter because he played hockey, at Chelsea Piers. And he was looking for a babysitter. And I was like, I don't know, like, I'm right here. I'm like 1 minute away. Like, I could do it, And he's like, he didn't want me as the babysitter. So I put on some sweaters, like cowl necks that go up to your chin. And then I would zip up, put up long sleeve sweatshirts and like zip up. And I'd go over there because I didn't want him to, I didn't want anything, strange, even though there was a lot of strangeness. And he was, he went and played hockey. And, and then Huma would come home and, I gave Huma a piece of art. And I gave her one of my magical fairies. Like, I was like, it's real. You could talk to it. I know it sounds crazy. And I think she believed. Listen, if you believe it's real, then it is real. That's how it works, And and then I had a line of badass T-shirts. And Huma was like, I wore it to work. And I'm thinking, where's work? I don't know. Is that in the White House? So Huma said, I love your badass. It feels so good. It was such a great as Badass New York. And Artie Lang helped me launch it. And so she said she was wearing it. And I said, Anthony, what if Hillary wins? Because now Hillary is running for president. And I said, then Huma has to move to the White House. And he goes to me, I'm not going to let that happen. I was like, oh. And then that's how it worked. Because I was like, oh, my God, am I going to be working in the White House right now? Am I going to be the babysitter at the White House? It's kind of exciting. I love it, And then, Donald Trump, I was on The Apprentice. I was on the first season.
Get out of here, really?
Yeah, I was you could see it. It's on YouTube. I was on the last 2 episodes of the first season, of The Apprentice, of the finale. And I was helping Jessica Simpson raise money for Operation Smile. And we auctioned one of my feathered hats. She auctioned the hat on stage at the concert at the Taj. And, Omarosa was modeling the hat, and I think we sold it for $2,500, and then I raised, privately money, with all my friends, similar like I'm doing with the T-shirts. I called them all. We raised money for Operation Smile, and then my cartoon became like the cartoon character for Operation Smile with Wachovia, which whatever happened to that, I don't know. But, so I'm staring right now. I have the You're Fired T-shirt that client just signed for me, and they were pulled out of Macy's because of trademark issues. But
Ivy, let me ask you this, because we're almost out of time. You have all this energy. You're such a creative person. What inspires you? What motivates you to keep going?
It's just energy and the earth. That's all I could say. I was just very fortunate that I have many spirit guides, like all my ancestors. So during the pandemic, I researched everybody in my family. I found all their graves, pictures of them, from their whole lives. I found like 50 graves, and I found like 50 alive relatives. So I put them all together, and now I know the names of all my spirit guides that, I'm running with.
I don't even want to talk to my relatives that are alive. Okay, I don't even want to talk to those ones. I don't go look for dead ones and talk to them. Well, but what about like when you're getting ripped off? You see your Scrat on this damn this cartoon is making billions of dollars. Did you get depressed? Did you say I want to give up?
Yeah, like it was. That's my. I had 3 different lines of T-shirts, but the second line that came out in January 2021 was the Scrat Never Give Up. So. I watch a lot of Joel Osteen, and whether people like him or not, he is very. It's like messages that keep coming to me. I've been studying Kabbalah at the Kabbalah Center with Rob. There was first the Rob Berg, and now it's Michael Berg, and which is so interesting because the people who wrote the Ice Age script. Michael J. Wilson is one of the writers for Fox Family, and he says his 3-year-old baby named Flora is the inventor of the Scrat. Just so you know, you can Google that. And the other writer, his name is Michael Berg. So I started noticing all the important names in my life seem to be inside of this entire Ice Age movie. Like it's a whole weird, like if I was in what's that show, The Time Zone? What was that crazy show?
Twilight Zone.
The Twilight Zone, yes. My friend Gary Harris, he discovered D'Angelo and put the Rapper's Delight on the radio. He used to say to me, Gary's in heaven now, but he used to say I was like a combination of Twilight Zone meets I Love Lucy. So
I would agree. Yeah.
I think he was right.
Okay, we are out of time, though, so give us all the things you want to plug. I know we have Scrat, SCRAT.com, and then Scrat with a Q, SQRAT.com. What else do you want to plug?
We definitely want to sell the T-shirts, and you can see those T-shirts at the Ivy Silverstein Instagram, and my Twitter is, the Twitter handle is I Want Justice. So it's, I don't know, is it Ivy Supersonic or Ivy Silverstein at I Want Justice? So go to my Twitter. Yeah, go to the Twitter, go to the Instagram, buy the shirts. That's really, and I sell feathered hats. So I do have, if you're looking for hats, there aren't many. They are expensive. They're gonna start, probably around $1,200. So I'm going to just say if someone's looking for a hat similar to like a Pamela Anderson, probably 2,000, somewhere in the range from like 1,200 to 2,000. There aren't very few made. They're all collector's items. And I guess that's it. We got the Scrat, the hats, and I sell the paranormal art.
I got a friend of mine. She just bought one of those tickets for the Museum of Modern Art, that gala, $75,000 ticket, Okay, I'm going to talk to her about getting one of those hats, man. But if you could have got one of these hats back in the 80s or back in the 90s, on the ground floor, just think. Now you can get the T-shirt. Mickey screwing. Oh, no, the Scrat is screwing Mickey, right?
Isn't that? Yes. Isn't that? It's pretty unbelievable. I don't know if I could say this, but I'm going to say. So let's say his name is Steamboat Willie. So like Scrat has a Willie for Willie, or Scrat has a Willie for Steamboat Willie. Or if we could say Scrat's giving the Dickie to Mickey. Yeah.
Okay. On that note, we're going to end our show with the wonderful.
So I just want to let you know that if Disney doesn't enjoy, Scrat and the Dickie and the Mickey, then they can buy my half of the Scrat copyright.
Oh, there you go.
It is, it's if they don't enjoy those pictures or the different animations that are about to come out, then they can, maybe they want to negotiate and buy my half of the Scrat copyright or my web domains or my trademarks. I mean, my script, 25 years worth of everything. Maybe they want to negotiate.
So here you go on the Opperman Report, Ivy Supersonic making an offer they can't refuse to Disney. They think they're big and powerful, but they've met their match in Ivy Supersonic. Or you can go to Ivy Silverstein, Silberstein. That's on Instagram. I really encourage people to check out this Instagram. It's a walk through history. Some of the pictures on this Instagram here. It's a really iconic stuff. Ivy Supersonic, thank you so much. Anything comes up, I'd love to have you come back.
Thank you. I appreciate being on. Thank you so much, Ed.
The Tornado Ivy, Hurricane Ivy, leaving the studio. Thank you so much, my friend. Bye.
Bye.